Reunited and it feels so good. We're back.
We're really going to start this season off with singing, aren't we?
We left off last season with me singing. Guess who's back?
I thought we'd be done
Back
with
again.
that. I thought you'd learn your lesson. Because
STH.
last time
Tell a Fred. Here we go, folks. He's annoyed. Season 2, episode 1, Survive the Hunt. My name's Billy Hoffman. On this episode, of course, is the man, the myth, the legend, the survival expert himself, Jacob Hacker.
Hi. Last time you sang it was about Michigan football. You sang the Michigan football theme song. How'd the football season end up for you guys?
We just hired a new coach.
No, you didn't hire a new coach. He just got elected for his second term.
Oh.
5 more years. 5 more years.
You know how there's the whole not my president people?
Yes.
Yeah, not my coach.
And it's about as effective.
Nick Saban's my coach now.
No.
Stop it. I know. Guys, it may sound different. It clearly looks a little different. We are here in hunting camp in Ohio, hunting together. Something we get to do maybe once every other year or so. Thanks for having me down.
I'm glad you're here, buddy.
I am too. I'm having a great time. We are currently sitting in an Airbnb that had a podcast studio. How perfect is that?
What are the odds?
I know.
I meant to ask you, but I figured I'd wait. How exactly did you find an Airbnb with a podcast studio? Did it just kind of happen?
Oh, yeah, total. No, so here's the thing that Jake obviously knows about me, but you guys might not, is I'm relatively cheap on certain things.
He's so cheap.
But I also spend money on, like, if it's like gear related, I'll spend money. But if it's on something for me, I generally look for the deal. Like vehicles, I'm kind of cheap on vehicles. But definitely one of the things I definitely do not spend money on generally is lodging.
Right.
I think it just grew up. We would camp instead of going to hotel.
Right.
Or that's when Airbnb is generally going to be cheaper than a hotel. This has been great for me. It's a beautiful setup. I had a podcast studio, but when I was searching, I knew the area we were hunting.
Right.
So I searched by the area.
Right.
And then I just started looking at prices, and I'm paying $33 a night to stay here.
Are you really?
Yeah, and this is nicer than a hotel.
It's very nice. This is a very nice place.
So, yeah. So it was like one night at a hotel was like, $90,
Yeah.
For something I would want to stay in. So it was like $90 a night. Or $90 total for the 3 to 4 days I'm here. It made total sense. So then I started looking, and then it's just like a real estate. When you're looking at it, there's pictures of it, just like there'd be pictures of a hotel or real estate pictures. And I was like, this place has a podcast studio? Sold. And it was literally the cheapest place I found. Like legitimately. I think there was one that was like $29.
It's so weird.
I know. And we met the guy today, the owner of this place, seems pretty nice.
Yeah.
It was super clean when I got in. I've only been in one Airbnb that was a little sketchy, and that was last year ATA.
Yeah.
It was an apartment above a bar. It worked. It was perfectly fine. It was dated. I wouldn't say sketchy. It was dated. But the restaurant downstairs, the food was fantastic. That was 1 year ago today, actually.
Yeah, we were there this time last year.
We were in Indianapolis last time.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, Season 2, Episode 1. I don't know if we're titling it that way. Let's give a quick recap about what in the heck's happened since the last time you and I did an episode. Someone had a baby.
I did. Yeah, I didn't. I guess I didn't even realize that was after the last episode we recorded. Yeah, we had our second kid, and he's getting close to 4 months now. Doing great.
Yeah, congratulations on that, man.
Thank you.
So you got 2, I got 2. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And that is one reason, probably one of the bigger reasons why we kind of had this spell of no episodes. We wanted to, obviously the COVID's going on, but hunting season hit us pretty hard. We were both traveling, both did a lot of hunts. Kind of seemed maybe that we left our audience hanging at the most important time of the year. But
if all you do is subscribe to the podcast, you might have been hanging a little bit. But
I agree.
If you follow us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, I explained, we're going to take a break, start up season 2 January 21st, and for me, this was my first year being back. I don't want to say as a full-time guide, but basically managing land full-time on top of the other 6 jobs I'm working right now.
Right.
And I hit November, started having customers come in to hunt with me, and it got busy real fast. But it's starting to slow down now. You're the last hunter I have for the year.
That's good.
Is you, yep. And then we get into sales and travel season.
And the crazy thing is, you haven't even filled your Ohio tag yet.
No.
So, which sucks, but at the same time, I think it's cool that we're both hunting.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I'm glad we're still here hunting. I usually fill my tag in like October, November, so I've got to hunt
Right.
a lot more this year. But I also never had that buck this year that really excited me.
Oh, that's a good point.
Usually I've got 180, 190, really for most of the last 10 years, I've had a 200-inch buck to hunt. And I didn't have that this year. I kept holding out like into late November and then into December, hoping that those that late season bonus buck would show up. And it just never happened this year. So now I've got some 150s, 160s on camera that I'll hunt hard the rest of the year and try and tag one of those. But I got a lot of new land this year and spent the year learning that land, learning how to manage it. I hunted it wrong the first 2 or 3 months of season. We still did really, really good with the hunters coming into camp killing deer. Next year, I think it'll be a little bit better, but hopefully we got one of those big super bucks show up again next year.
Hopefully one of those big super bucks shows up tonight.
That's right.
For you or me. I don't care which one of us kills this weekend. I really don't. I want a picture of you and me and a deer together. I just think that'd be fun.
That would be cool. Well, and part of the goal of this weekend while you're here is we want to film a video on taking good trophy photos.
Right.
So one of us actually has to kill something. For that to happen.
I passed on a small buck. We could have done some pictures of it, but it was funny, because you manage these lands, and we were talking. You're showing me pictures of what to hunt or what everything's going to look like, what's been coming into camera. You specifically said I could shoot any buck.
I did, and I made it very clear that he could not shoot any does at all. We're not killing does on any of my ground this year. I said you can shoot any buck, and then
the first buck that comes in gives me the opportunity is a button buck.
Thank God. I know how much he likes to kill button bucks too, so
it happens.
Glad you didn't kill it.
This one would have been on purpose though. Had I didn't even grab my bow and sometimes you'll practice drawing. I'm like, no, not on an out of state hunt.
You always let an arrow go when that happens. I do anyway.
It would have been funny. It
would almost be worth the non-resident tag price.
Yeah, if you didn't have so many good bucks on camera.
Yeah, we do have some.
But there's
really
no
good deer on camera.
And I don't want to say it would be a waste to shoot a button buck, but I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to be invited back.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
So, all right. So here we are. Again, one important thing Jake said is we are more than just a podcast.
Right.
There's the YouTube page, the social media for Survive the Hunt is always active. We are still going to put out more podcasts I don't say when we can, but I don't want to say every week.
Yeah, it's not going to be every week, but it'll be pretty regular.
But they'll be entertaining, and it's just part of being a well-rounded company that you've built here. What is our topic for today?
So I wanted to do an entire topic at the end of last year, and I passed it off. And the topic was silly things that Fred Bear said.
Silly?
Silly things that Fred Bear said.
Okay.
Now, I really like Fred Bear. I think Fred Bear is one of the greatest things that's happened to hunting in the last 200 years. But he also said some silly things, as everybody does. But instead of doing an entire episode on all the silly things he said, maybe we can go back on that later. I have one specific silly thing that he said that I see on social media all the time that I wanted to talk with you about today.
Okay. I have no idea what this thing is. I'm gonna guess it comes from the 10 Commandments of Fred Bear, those things you always see,
It's not. It's not
one of those.
It's not from there, but it is a well-known Fred Bear quote that maybe some people don't know comes from Fred Bear. And I opened my phone up here. I wasn't being rude to anybody watching. I opened my phone up here because I want to read it word for word.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, so.
All right. You can learn more about hunting deer with a bow and arrow in a week than a gun hunter will learn his entire life.
Okay, so we're going to spend a whole episode talking about this.
Well, we just spent half the episode talking about
'Cause
Airbnb and what we've been doing.
That's a good point. I just think that there's some poetic license in that quote. I don't think, like... Okay. Tell me your problem with it.
Well, my problem with it is a lot of the bow hunters on a lot of big social media groups, pages, stuff like that I see use that quote a lot. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's some poetic license to it. Sure, Fred Bear wasn't a poet. He made bows and hunted stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm taking some of this from like some of the other silly quotes that I've read from Fred Bear, but I think he meant this. I don't think this was out of the norm of what Fred Bear said about hunting.
I would agree that he probably did feel that way.
Right.
I also think it's important to put into context. When he said that, I'm assuming he was not putting in crossbows. Obviously, he wasn't talking about crossbows, or even compound. He wasn't anti-compound actually.
Right.
But that he was talking about traditional bow hunters.
Okay.
So I think that I'm just saying I don't think I disagree with him.
Okay, I'm glad you don't disagree with them, because if you did disagree with them, this was going to be a really short episode. This is how we're going to get.
But I think when he said that, I wish we had a year. But if we just think of the Fred Bear era, we'll go, mid 70s to the 50s, right?
Okay.
So if you take like a person that was bow hunting in the 70s to from the 50s to the 70s, when a lot of states didn't even have bow seasons.
Yeah.
And they do because of who? Fred Bear. A
Right.
lot of them
Right.
do, right? So if you take a night, so let's take the middle of that, would be like if you take a bow hunter in 1970, I think that if they're that dedicated to bow hunting, they are going to learn more than a gun hunter in 1970.
In a week. Than a gun hunter would learn in a year.
What's the quote again? Bow hunting in a week?
The quote is, a bow hunter... Hold on, I'm going to pull it back up here. I'm going to read it again. You can learn more about hunting deer with a bow and arrow in a week than a gun hunter will learn his entire life.
Yeah, it's poetic license. And what I mean by that is anytime you say always or never, you're automatically wrong.
Right, I agree with you.
So... I don't know what what do you not like about it?
No, you just said you disagreed with it. My disagreement comes from I gun hunt a lot.
Okay.
I really like gun hunting. In the last 3 or 4 years, as I have had more opportunities to gun hunt across the country, I spend way more time in the tree with a bow than I do gun hunting. I mean, 10 to 1. But I can't say that I don't learn just as much gun hunting as I do bow hunting.
Okay. So I guess one way to look at this, and I'm asking, I'm not saying that this is my point, is if you had someone that only bow hunted or someone who only gun hunted, which person learns more? Which person's the better outdoorsman?
Whoever spends more time in the woods.
Okay.
I don't think it matters. That's what I don't get about. Like if I'm 300 yards away from a bunch of deer watching them, I'm learning the same things that the guy who's 20 yards away from him. Maybe you got a different perspective. Maybe you're hearing some things different. But just because I'm gun hunting doesn't mean those deer are always going to stay 300 yards away. I've killed several deer with a gun within 20 yards.
That's true. Yeah.
It's what are you out there looking for? What are you trying to learn? But I see this so much. I saw a guy just last week. We had a late muzzleloader season here in Ohio. And the little guy had a 190-inch buck on camera, double drop tine, and it got killed by one of the gun hunters. And, the guy was a little emotional that his target buck got killed. He's bow hunted all year, but he hasn't gun hunted at all this year. And his statement was, well, anybody could have killed that deer with a gun. That's so easy. You can just go out there and anybody can kill that deer with a gun. And it's just, there's a perception from the bow hunter community and the traditional bow hunting community that they look on gun hunters like, oh, it's just the easiest thing in the world. They all just go out there and kill big bucks all the time. And man, it's so easy. I've gun hunted enough to know it's no different. Like you might, if something's 300 yards away, I can still take a crack at it. versus if I have a bow, I can't. But the odds of seeing that deer are the exact same. If you set yourself up in the right spot, I mean, it's no, maybe I want to be 100 yards, 200 yards away from that deer. But you still have to put your hunting knowledge to use to ever get that opportunity with the gun.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with you in what you just said, up until the execution of the shot. That is where it's not the same at all.
Okay, so
And that goes for crossbows and, and I'm kind of lumping trad and compound together because the physicality of this shot is pretty much the same. But yeah, I mean, whether I have a rifle or a longbow in my hand, I still want the deer at 12 to 20 yards.
Right.
I mean, I 12 yards with a rifle. I don't know if I've ever killed a... Yeah, I have. I killed a deer with 4 yards with a rifle once.
Close.
On a deer drive.
Yeah.
But I think up until the execution of the shot, putting yourself in the right position is probably the better judgment of someone's skill.
Yeah, I agree. And I would argue that even up to the shot, including the shot, because yeah, you might be a better archer than me, but are you a better hunter because you can shoot a bow better than me? Because there's a lot of people who can shoot bows really good that have never stepped foot in the woods.
So what I meant by that was not necessarily like a skill involved with the weapon, is the actual physical movement it takes to shoot the weapon.
Okay.
Meaning, like, with a crossbow or a gun, you can be at rest, you can be ready. There's very little movement in order to facilitate the shot. Obviously, with the other weapons, you got to draw back.
Right.
So I guess that was the breakdown for me. But if you get the deer within, I'd say 30 yards, I don't think there's a difference. I think that's the skill.
Yeah.
I don't always measure success in the outdoors with, I don't know. I don't always measure like killing something as the success.
Right.
Right. I think that, if you can get within 30 yards, that was a pretty successful hunt.
Right.
Obviously we all want to kill stuff. Right. But I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. No, I understand. Like, I get the point, and I get the spirit behind what Fred said. And, like, I love Fred Bear. Like, I have nothing against the guy at all. I say this, and I bring this point up because there's so much, like, infighting right now and bashing of... You've got pages like Make Hunting Great Again out there that all day
but they're
bashing.
They're trolls.
I get it.
Let's not bring them up because I really don't want to get on their troll list.
They're one of many.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to working class bow hunters. If you're, I know you're on the working class bow hunter group, and I'm on it too. There's most people in there, and I say most because I see every post, are more interested in saying how they're better than all the other hunters out there because they do it their way.
Right.
Or they shoot this bow, or I only bow hunt, or I drink beer every night when I get home. That makes me a better hunter. Like, those are the arguments that are out there, rather than how can we, like, as a hunting community, make everybody better at hunting. I want everybody to be successful. Like, I'm not competing against the bow hunter, the gun hunter, stuff like that. And even the people we look up to most in the hunting community had those divisive statements, and those wedges driven into the community have made a really bad impact, I think, on where we are collectively as hunters.
Yeah, and I think it can go pretty deep because you look at a guy like me. Like, I'm on the board of the Michigan Bowhunters Association. Right, I'm their webmaster. I'm their social media director. An organization that was founded by...
I'm guessing Fred Bear. I have no idea.
Bear
Believe it or not, I don't keep up on Michigan
Bowhunters
history.
Association.
Yes.
So this is our 75th year anniversary. Is this year, which is our diamond anniversary, and Fred Bear was one of our founding, so like 1946 or whatever. So, and even the organization that I'm a part of, I don't agree with everything because they're very anti-crossbow.
Okay.
Now, we are a political action committee where we have a lot of influence in legislation. our organization was what got bow season regulated in Michigan.
Yeah.
That actually got an archery season. And even I don't agree with some of so where I'm going with this is I don't know if I'm a total like kumbaya because you wear camouflage, you're my brother kind of guy.
Right.
I hunt the way I hunt. I want people to hunt the way they hunt as long as it's legal where they're doing it.
Right.
I guess that's my
Right.
where I draw the line.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm not encouraging anybody to go out and poach if that's the way I enjoy hunting is hunting with a spotlight out of a truck. Like, I'm not encouraging that,
Right.
obviously, but I don't know. I think we're kind of saying the same thing there.
Yeah.
A little different angle.
So getting back to that Fred Bear quote
Yes.
one more time.
Hold on.
You can learn more by hunting with deer with a bow in a week than you can over a lifetime with a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's true,
Right.
and I don't necessarily think he believed it.
Okay.
I think he said it to promote archery and to sell bows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
just think it's
Yeah.
I just think it's poetic license.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand, like, people, I say poetic license a lot because I'm a writer,
Right.
So people are always like, "What do you mean by that?" And the way I explain it is, the song Billy Joel, his most popular song, "Piano Man."
Yes.
There's a line in it where he says, "There's a guy at the bar making love to his tonic and gin." That's poetic license. Okay, he's not actually making love to a drink.
Right.
He's using poetic license, right? There's, you do this in writing, you do this in, songs, you do it in, everyday life. And I think to take something and go word for word and call it silly, I have a hard time calling anything Fred Bear silly.
I know you do. That's why I'm going to talk about it.
Right?
And I understand, like, there's some hyperbole there in what he's...
Ooh, hyperbole. There's a good one.
Is that better than...
No, they're the same thing. Yeah.
Well, no, I understand the meaning
Oh.
of Billy. I just meant... Do you want me to compare it to a William Joel song?
Okay.
I
If you have
can't.
one.
No, that's probably the only one I know.
And standing outside the fire. Wait, that's Garth Brooks. Never mind. We didn't start the fire as Billy Joel.
Yeah, I don't want to go down this road because we're going to end up singing on the podcast again.
We're pretty close to it.
Nope. My finger is right by the record button. We'll stop it at any time.
Right. So, okay. I guess I'll ask you this.
Okay.
If someone spends a life... Oh, I already did. Because you said it's... If someone spends the exact same amount of time gun hunting versus bow hunting, who's going to learn more?
Whoever pays more attention to the woods.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think picking up a bow makes you a better hunter.
That's
Yes.
a really good point.
Yes.
That's a good point. So I think... I feel like it does.
Really?
I in my heart...
Yeah.
You've convinced me that I'm wrong, but like...
I want it to feel like it does.
Like when
Yeah.
you say like... Okay, I guess this. You see a guy with a nice buck that he killed with a rifle. You see a guy with a nice buck that he killed with trad equipment. Who are you more impressed by?
It's just not enough to go on. I want to know what happened.
Okay.
Like, because I've seen a lot of guys kill deer with guns that were on deer drives, had no idea the deer existed. First day out hunting. We've all seen that story where a little girl kills a 300-inch buck,
Right.
And
My daughter's turkey this year.
right. I'm not saying that I'm not impressed by that because, well, yeah, like I want to kill a 300-inch buck too. I'd love to do it on my first day hunting. That'd be awesome.
Right.
But did the trad guy go sit in somebody else's tree stand on public ground right on the edge of some private and happen to shoot this deer? Did the gun hunter pattern this deer and learn this new section of woods? Like, there's just so much more that goes into it than what you kill a deer with. It just doesn't matter to me. If I had a 200-inch buck to hunt this year and you told me I could hunt it with a gun all year, I'd never pick my bow up because it's more about I want to outsmart that deer. I want to outwit that deer that's what's important to me, not what I shoot it with.
All right. I'm not saying I disagree with you in my mind, but in my heart, I do.
And that's fine.
It's just the way I feel. It's a feeling. Like, I've killed, and maybe this is just me. I've killed deer with traditional gear. I've killed deer with a crossbow, and I've killed deer with a compound. Not all this year, but, and I look back at the trad kills as more memorable. I'm more proud of them.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
See,
they're not bigger bucks. They're not.
It's taken me a long time to get where I'm at, like where I just don't care what I kill. It's just not important to me. There was a time for a long time when I was like die hard bow only, and I didn't pick up a gun deer hunting for a few years. But I've got a lot of bucks under my belt. I don't know how many I've killed, but some of my most memorable ones are gun hunts. And like last night we hunted, and I had a shooter buck that I've watched all year. Had him at 60 yards. Mm-hmm. If I had shot him with my gun last night, I'd be
just as happy
as if I kill him tonight with my bow, which is the plan.
It
is.
All right. I don't know what more could be left to say. I guess if you're listening to this, on the podcast feed, I want you to go over to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I want you to find this episode, and I want you to leave a comment on what you feel. If you think anything Fred Bear says is untouchable, let us know. If you agree with Jake, or me, I guess we don't even really disagree, but just give us your thoughts on this, and that's all done on our YouTube page. The comments are right there. Also, for those of you who are on social media, we'll have this episode posted on Facebook too. So if you want to just, we monitor both those, the comments, and we'll discuss it with you. And if you disagree, we'll just delete your comment. No, I'm kidding. We wouldn't do that. But anything left? Anything else you want to discuss this week?
No, that's it. The end.
That's it.
Welcome back. We're here. Season 2 starting now. We'll have some more episodes we'll be recording this week, and we'll see you guys at the next one.
Perfect.